I cannot wait to get started on this first cake. It is magnificent. It is kind of a tone on tone. There is a mauve and a dusty rose, and then there's the beautiful scroll work on the side. It's graceful, it's elegant. It is my favorite, Nancy.
Now those roses are actually from the same color. You just put more paste color in the icing to get the different tones.
And you're going to show us how to make...
I'm going to show you how to make a rose.
Well, I'm here to tell you.
What you're going to need is you're going to need a flower nail. You're going to need a 104 petal tip, and you're going to need a large round. This is a number 12. So I've got a number 7 nail, and I'm just going to put a little bit of icing on the base. I'm going to put some wax paper on top because we're making it out of royal. If we were making it out of buttercream, we wouldn't need the wax paper. We could make it directly on the nail and then just pick it up with scissors and put it directly on the cake.
Okay.
Now we're going to make a mound, and when you make your mound, you're just holding it down there so it builds up.
And this is...
looks kind of like a...
Still royal, right?
Yes, this is royal. And then I like to have a piece of styrofoam sitting there so I can put it down and make sure I get my bag just exactly, you know, like I like it. Now you're going to do the center part of the bud, and you're going to angle it in at about a 45-degree angle, and you're going to just squeeze, turn your nail, and bring it back down.
So it's the pressure, the tilt of the bag, the up and down movement of your icing,
so
and then the turn
your nail,
of the nail.
Yes, so you've got to be a little bit coordinated to do a rose. Then for our first petals, you're going to have it still at the 45-degree angle, and you're going to come in front of this little section where you finished, and you're going to turn your nail.
You lift it up.
And lift it up.
You know, I have to be honest, you know, I took a cake decorating class, and I'm a little intimidated by the rose. It's kind of a thorn in my side.
So am I.
No pun intended, but it's a little intimidating. But and how many loops or how many
Well, you do
petals?
3 on the first one, and you do 5 on the second one, and then you do 7. And to just make it a little bit wider, you tilt it a little bit more. But the main thing is you want to make sure you stay into your base so that everything is anchored.
At the bottom.
And you know what? I don't get too worried if you have more petals, because not very many people come along and go,
inspect
1,
them.
2, 3, you know, but that's your rose.
Well, that's pretty.
And you could do a smaller rose if you wanted to by just, you know, doing like the 3 and then the 5.
And these are the finished, and you want to make extra because some of them do break,
Some of them
right?
will break, but you know what? You can use the broken ones and kind of tuck them in little crevices. So I don't ever throw any of my broken flowers away. And these, because they were made of royal, you can see they've dried hard, and we still have them on the wax paper.
Okay, you're going to show us the scroll work
Yeah,
here?
with the cake. What we've done is we've iced the cake in a buttercream icing, and that's confectioner's sugar, butter, and some flavoring, and a little bit of liquid. And you know, the flavoring could be virtually, you know, vanilla, almond, lemon, you know, any of the extracts that you wanted. So we've iced it smooth. And to get it smooth, now I wouldn't ice with a small spatula, but what you want to do is dip it in the water, in hot water, wipe it off, and then come across.
And then the heat gives you that glass
The heat will give you
look.
that. And the other thing you can do on top is put parchment paper and then just take your spatula and put it across. So those are 2 tricks for kind of getting it to be very smooth. Now, after it's dried a little bit, we call it crusted, which I know doesn't sound too great, but that's the technical term. And then we have some pattern presses that we're going to take, and I've already done this, where you press into your cake so that you make the mark. And that gives you a guideline for what you're going to use.
So it gives you the mark right here on the, and actually this is a turntable, a tilted turntable, and this comes in handy, doesn't it, when you're decorating
it really
a cake
does.
As elaborate as this.
Now you want to start with a clean tip. You can see I have a little bit coming out. This is a tip 2, so it's fairly small. And we're just going to do beads here, which beads are, you're at a 90-degree angle.
And this is buttercream you're using now, right? Okay, buttercream.
At a medium consistency icing. And you just do it, it's a little awkward. I would normally have it, you know, closer to me. So I'm getting a little bit of a point, but if you get too much of a point, just let it dry.
And then you can kind of tap the
point in. And then you can just tap it in.
Okay, and with this cake, would you torte this or do a strawberry cake or a raspberry cake? Or?
Yeah, you could. You know, it depends on the height of the cake that you want and what you really want it you know, to look like. That would be good, because you see the pink and you kind of think strawberries or raspberries, so you could put that in your layers in between, or you could actually divide your layers, you know, with a serrated knife or a cake leveler, and you can see it's not quite dry, but you can pat those in.
This cake would be beautiful for a wedding, maybe if you renew your vows, for, of course, a bridal luncheon, bridal shower.
You know, this certainly doesn't say give to your favorite man, but, you know, for any woman, birthday, Mother's Day, you know, just because it's just really sweet. Again, make sure you always keep your tip clean.
Okay.
And then I'm going to do the bead border, and this is a tip 5, and you're just going to squeeze, let it build up, and then pull it towards you. But your next squeezing is going to cover that little tail, for lack of any other term. And you can see you just squeeze and pull it towards you.
Well, the thing about roses, I know they're a really popular item to place on a cake, but there's so many themes. I know you're like from Texas, so the yellow rose of Texas. I'm from Kentucky. We have the blanket of roses, you know, at the Derby, the red roses. But roses are everywhere.
They are, and you can make them all different colors. You can actually, you know, tip your bags with colors so that you can do 2 tones. But let's start putting some of the roses on top. And if you want to, why don't you use this bag?
Okay.
Because it's a little bit larger opening, and I'll use the big wide bag. And you know what you could do is you could put like mounds of the icing around so that you have different levels, or you can put the icing on the bottom of the rose.
And the great thing about these roses, though they're a bit intimidating, if you do practice, you can get that just picked look like from the garden to where you're actually good at it. It's just
so see, there's a couple of ways you can put it on. You want to mix your colors. Maybe you want to stack them a little bit.
I think the finished product's nice because you all have them kind of hanging over the ledge. That gives it dimension here. It's not just...
Now, you know, we're not going to have time to put all our roses on, but let's put some leaves because that actually adds some additional interest, makes it look more natural. And I have a tip 352.
This is a leaf tip?
It's a leaf tip, but to me it looks like a chicken's beak.
Because it has a little cutout.
Because it has a little cutout, a V in there. Okay. And then we'll just actually squeeze, make sure it's touching your cake, and pull it up.
And this is buttercream you're using here? Okay.
Because you can mix buttercream and royal. Okay, so you can see, you know, you'd put the leaves on there. But let me show you something else really quick that looks nice. You could ice your cupcake, and this is just spatula icing a cupcake. You know, it doesn't really...
So we're going to get just a little taste of what goes on here.
Doesn't have to be really that hard or that smooth. Then you can just plop it on there. Now remember I said if it was a buttercream icing, you could just make it and lift it directly on there. And probably on a cupcake I would do buttercream. And let me just stick a leaf.
Well, the great thing about these, you can do these ahead of time. If you have a bridal shower or something like that, you've got so much going on the day of that it would be nice
Doesn't that look sweet?
The rose. Oh, those are great. Or you could do the sweet pea if you don't want to tackle the full rose. There are wild roses and different roses.
There's different roses that you can do, or you can make smaller ones. And then if you put it on a stand or, you know, a cake plate, it just looks really pretty.
It's very impressive and very feminine looking. Great ideas, and everything is coming up roses.